All right. I have a feeling that Luis this week has a TAKEADITO on VAR. And if you are joining us for the first time, TAKEADITO is when Luis gives a hot take and we basically play VAR and decide whether it's an acceptable take or not. So tell us what you've got this week, Luis.
I like how you did that, Kay. I like it. Well, okay, so let's go with this. Let's stay with the theme in question right now, courtesy, of course, of the wonderful Dale Johnson being part of the show right now. Listen, here's the thing, and this is coming from me as an original VAR supporter. I think we need to get rid of it. Like, I'm done with it. I don't know if people know the comment, a camel is a horse made up by committee, but to me, this is essentially the essence of VAR right now. The reason why I think that we should get rid of it is because ultimately, fundamentally, VAR and technological decisions are made by humans. Human error will always be intricately part of it, aside from goal line technology. I think it's time to just get rid of it. Keep goal line technology, and I counter to another solution in the courtesy of the Super Bowl being today. We should have a challenge for a manager per half. The moment you feel that there's something gone against your team, you put up that challenge. If you're correct, you keep it for the second. If you're wrong, you lose it. I just think that the overwhelming abundance of detail that's been added in VAR has now intricately done the opposite. And it's become more sort of contextually problematic. And just like the Brentford-Arsenal game, it's become a little bit of a nuisance and I think a headache for many of the officials, not to mention the one in the middle of the pitch. So my hot take is this: get rid of VAR, keep goal line technology, a challenge per manager. That's it.
Mark, you first.
Yeah, listen, I agree with that. I like the idea of a challenge. I think that's a good chat. I mean, but there are times when I want to get home before midnight when I go to a 3 o'clock kickoff, and that might be a challenge. But I think, you know, I'm all for getting rid of VAR, but I think ourselves as broadcasters also have a kind of role to play as well, because the problem is, if we get rid of VAR, but then we show 15, 16 replays of an incident in slow-mo, then you're giving the fans, the managers, the players the opportunity to say, but look at that. If we had VAR, that would have... Yeah. So do we need all these replays? Who does it serve? It just stokes up controversy, which is, you know, it feeds the beast, obviously. But also, I think we have to be fair that if we get rid of VAR, we can't keep showing endless replays, because that will only encourage all these people, everybody, to say, well, hang on, if that was VAR, that was 6 yards offside or whatever. And also, it put Dale out of the job, because Dale's the king of VAR, so we can't be doing that.
I think the problem is, Mark, is like it's pretty much what you said, really, is that before VAR, we used to have discussion about refereeing decisions, and people used to get angry about the big ones. The problem is now with VAR, and because everything is looked at, things which before people wouldn't talk about.
Just microscopically,
absolutely looked at microscopically. And I just think that if you take away VAR now, we're not going to go back to what we were 6 years ago, where people only talk about 2 or 3 incidents.
Yeah, people, which is why I countered with the challenge.
They'll double down on it again. They'll double down again on these incidents and say, "Oh, we've got rid of it now. Oh, we should have got X, Y, Z." And so, while there are many, many problems at the moment, especially, I mean, the worst thing about yesterday is they were the offside decisions. They weren't subjective offside decisions. They were the simple ones, which is technology is there to solve. It wasn't about the subjective decisions that were made wrong. So it's just like, you're not going to get rid of it, but it's just got to improve vastly from where we are right now.
Let's just keep Mark cold at the games. Go on, Mark.
I said it worked well at the World Cup by and large. And I think it was a much quicker, much more definitive process in the World Cup. With the Premier League, they just seem to take forever. I don't know whether there's too many people involved, I don't know, but too many personalities. I just thought the World Cup and Champions League seems to work an awful lot better. Now, obviously, people find exceptions, there always are, but it just seems a lot slicker in those situations. And also the Lee Mason thing yesterday. It's not like he was in a stadium where there was, you know, there's managers and, you know, ranting down his ear and things. It was in a at Stockley Park in a nice, comfortable, warm, you know, booth, watching it with no interference. So in that environment, you should be able to make a right decision with that. But it still couldn't make the right decision. So it is human error. But I don't know. Just the Premier League seems to be much worse than anybody else at doing it.
Yeah, taking so long. My only thing as well, Luis, with the challenge is, even with the challenge, they still got to get it right, because it's still going to have to be decided in a certain period of time, right?
But at least there's a decision just that one time, and that's it. Like, everything else just flows. I just feels like everything right now. And then to Augie's excellent point about the fact that broadcasters are playing the replay over and over again. My biggest point is this: just simplify the whole thing, because right now it's an absolute mess.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.